newspaper, in the Makor Rishon newspaper, we've seen over 70% of the Israeli modern religious community support the rebuilding of the temple. We've seen over 50% of the entire Jewish community in Israel, religious and non-religious, traditional. And we see that the people really, that faith of rebuilding the temple.
But while it is one thing for the Jewish people to have a growing interest in the rebuilding of the Jewish temple, what is even more interesting is a small but growing trend among some Muslims who also wish to see the Jewish temple rebuilt. While in Istanbul, I appeared as a guest with the controversial Muslim leader Adnan Oktar on his live television program. For several years, Oktar has been calling for Jews, Christians, and Muslims to join together to rebuild the Jewish temple. I asked Mr. Oktar about his position.
Bütün güzelliğiyle, bütün ihtişamıyla hem Hristiyanlara, hem Musevilere, hem Müslümanlara hizmet edecek şekilde yeniden o tarihi atmosfer içerisinde kurulacağına inanıyoruz. Bugünlerde de inşallah bunun için yoğun bir gayret göstereceğiz. Güzel bir sembol olarak da mescidin inşasını istiyoruz. Bir mescit yıkıldıysa yeniden yapılmasından doğal bir şey olmaz Müslüman. Bunu mutlaka istemekle mükelleftir.
Another Orthodox Jewish group in Jerusalem called God's Holy Mountain Project has a very similar vision. A painting commissioned by this organization portrays their future vision of the Temple Mount with both the Muslim Dome of the Rock and a Jewish temple standing side by side with streams of Jews, Muslims, and Christians all worshiping together on the Temple Mount. As surreal as this vision may seem, there is in fact biblical evidence that the Temple Mount may be shared by both Muslims and Jews. In speaking of the last days Jewish temple, Revelation 11:2 says specifically that the outer court will be given to the Gentiles. Amazingly, Rabbi Glick also sees the Dome of the Rock as potentially becoming a central part of the future Jewish temple.
The house of prayer for all nations, which will be rebuilt, as described by Zechariah and Ezekiel, will be a house of prayer for all nations, and the inner part will be open to all nations. And therefore the Dome of the Rock can definitely be part of it. Now, once again, I'm not talking about building another building.
According to Glick, because Muslims worship one God, their religion is acceptable to Jewish standards, and the present-day Dome of the Rock could not only be incorporated, but could become central to the future Jewish temple.
The idea of the temple is one house for all those who want to say, God is one, His name is one. And this is the dream. The Dome of the Rock has a strong potential to be that because it's at the right location. It represents a nation, a religion faithful in one God. It only has to be one more thing: agree for religious tolerance, peace among faithful people.
Imagine if a future Jewish temple actually used the present-day Dome of the Rock as the Holy of Holies. It incorporated it into its temple.
For a born-again, believing Christian who knows the Bible, any spirit that says Jesus is not the Son of God is the spirit of Antichrist.
And so when you go up to the most sacred spot of earth in prophecy, the Temple Mount, you look and right in the middle is this Dome of the Rock and is this mosque and this declaration there saying God has no son. You know, that's just like the work of the enemy.
It is written in the Dome of the Rock, far for God to have a son. It is the same place where Jesus will put his throne there. So Satan is a little bit ahead in action of the church, and he is trying to put his throne instead to prevent Jesus.
The enemy not only does things blatantly like that, but he also is a preemptor. He seeks to stop the work of God before it happens. He tried to kill Moses as a baby, tried to kill Messiah as a baby, tried to wipe out Israel in the Holocaust before the resurrection of Israel, before all the prophecies.
You can see when Satan wants to prevent Jesus from even coming to the world by killing the children. All the time he had plan. He knows what's going to happen for him. So the next plan or the end plan is Jesus is coming and put his throne and will be ruling, and his headquarters will be in Jerusalem and ruling the whole world from Jerusalem. So Satan is doing the same. He wants to put his throne, the Khalifa or the Khilafat, in the same place in order to prevent Jesus from second coming.
So it's just like him to take the place where everything not only happened, but it has to happen, where the throne of God will be, where God's kingdom will be, and set something up right there on top of it saying, hey, you can't do it, because it's my mountain. The enemy says, in Ezekiel, the enemy says, I have your high places. But God says, no, that's not going to last.
Another major sign that Jesus warned of with regard to the last days would be the rise of false prophets. Today, throughout the Islamic world, in the nations that surround Israel, there is a dramatic rise in messianic expectation. According to Islamic theology, Muslims are expecting in the last days two primary Messiah figures. The first individual they call the Mahdi. In Iran, they call him the 12th Imam. Now, the Mahdi is essentially a religious, military, political leader that comes in the last days to cause all the world to convert to Islam. The second individual that Muslims are looking for is Isa al-Masih, or Jesus Christ. Muslims teach that when Jesus comes back, he comes back as a Muslim to tell all the people of the world, including Christians, that he never died on the cross, he never claimed to be the Son of God, that Islam is the only true religion, and that all people should convert to Islam and submit to the Mahdi. To discuss the Muslim expectations concerning their two primary Messiah figures, I sat down with two Muslim leaders. The first was Adnan Oktar of Istanbul, and the second was Sheikh Ikrimah Saeed Sabri. Sabri is the president of Quranic and Islamic Studies at Al-Quds University in Jerusalem. And he's also the son of the former Grand Mufti of Jerusalem.
المهدي في عقيدتنا أنه رجل صالح سيأتي الله سبحانه وتعالى به في آخر الزمان من أجل أن يقيم العدل خلال مدة معينة، فترة زمنية سيحكم ثم بعد ذلك يموت، وإنسان عادي. الذي يهمنا طبعا في عقيدتنا هو أنه إن ظهر هذا المهدي نقوم بمناصرته. سيلتقي بالسيد المسيح عليه السلام، أن السيد المسيح في عقيدتنا أنه سيأتي في آخر الزمان، وأنه سيعينه على إقامة العدل في الأرض.
According to Muslim belief, when Jesus returns, he will come back as a Muslim who will deny that he ever claimed divinity or ever claimed to be the Son of God or ever died on a cross.
عندما يأتي سيدنا عيسى عليه السلام طبعا كسر الصليب ليس لذات الصليب، هي عبارة عن قطعة خشبية أو كذا، هو يكسر الصليب إشارة إلى نفي حادثة الصلب، ويكسر الصليب ليعلن أنه ما صلب.
According to the Muslim expectation, together the Mahdi and the Muslim Jesus will cause Islam to become supreme throughout the world, causing most to become Muslims. Likewise, according to the Bible, the Antichrist and the false prophet will force all inhabitants of the world to follow them.
لن يختفي كليا، إنما سيكون هناك غلبة للمسلمين، لأن الإسلام سيقوى. ومن المعلوم أن الدولة القوية عندما تكون موجودة فإنها يكثر أتباعها، وطبعا سيكون عندنا من أهم أسباب انتشار الإسلام وظهور عيسى عليه السلام حسب عقيدتنا، لأن عيسى عليه السلام عندما ينزل سيخاطب النصارى وسيخاطب أتباع الأديان أو الأديان الأخرى، أنني أنا عيسى عليه السلام أحكم بشريعة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. فبالتالي سيكون هناك عدد من النصارى، عدد كبير سيدخل الإسلام، لأن النبي الذي آمنوا به. أما وضع الجزية بمعنى إلغاء الجزية، سيلغي الجزية لأنه لن يقبل من الناس غير الإسلام، لن يكون هناك أهل ذمة، لأنه يقول لهم أنا أمثل الشيء الذي كنتم تؤمنون به ها أنا بين أيديكم، فأعلن أنه لن يكون هناك أكثر من دين. إذا كنت تريد أن تؤمن بعيسى عليه السلام فأنا عيسى عليه السلام، لن يقبل منه إلا الإسلام.
Another striking reality concerning Islamic expectation of the Mahdi is their belief that only he will be able to mediate peace between Israel and the Palestinian peoples. Throughout the Middle East, there's a yearning and a longing throughout the world for some sort of elusive peace agreement, some type of program that would cause the state of Israel and the Palestinian people to come to some solution to the ongoing conflict. Do you also believe that it will only be through the mediation of the Mahdi that the Israelis and the Palestinians will actually find this peace?
Tabii Mehdi'nin dışında mümkün değil. Yani hiçbir şekilde ne Filistin hükümeti buna yaklaşır, yani Filistin'e yaklaşır, ne de İsrail hükümeti buna yaklaşır. Ancak Mehdi'nin öncülüğünde bu gerçek, bu güzellik oluşacaktır. Hadislerde de öyle geçiyor zaten. Peygamberimiz hadislerinde de o şekilde belirtiliyor.
I also asked Mr. Oktar about his belief that during the time of the Mahdi's reign, sacrifices and offerings will be reinstated on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. His response was very revealing.
Şu an Hristiyanlar da, Museviler de, Müslümanlar da o mescitte ibadet edemiyorlar. Museviler de, Müslümanlar da kurban kesemiyorlar. Birinde, ki biz Mehdi devrinde olduğumuza inanıyoruz. Kurban da, sunu da serbest olacak. İlk Mehdi'nin yapacağı icraatlardan birisi budur. Hazreti Süleyman Mescidi'nin yapılışı ve kurbanın ve sununun serbest oluşu ve ibadetlerin rahatça yapılacak hale gelmesidir.
Yet according to Islamic prophecy, the Mahdi will be a Muslim caliph or a global Muslim leader who together with the Muslim Jesus will actually establish his seat of Islamic authority on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem.
طبعا بما أن فلسطين والقدس هي في قلب العالم الإسلامي، إذا لابد أن يكون المسلمون أو المهدي بالتحديد موجودا في هذه المرحلة. وعندما سيأتي المهدي في آخر الزمان لن يقتصر حكمه على بيت المقدس أو على فلسطين، سيكون هو في أغلب دول العالم.
Mr. Oktar even went so far as to claim that during the time of the Mahdi, humans and jinn, or essentially the Muslim version of demons, would freely communicate and interact. Mr. Oktar even went so far as to claim that jinn would play a premier role in causing Islam to prevail throughout the world. You mentioned that during the time of the Mahdi, that the jinn would freely interact with humans and that they would be able to freely communicate. Could you explain that in a little bit more detail?
Evet, Hazreti Süleyman gibi olacaktır Hazreti Mehdi'de. Aynı şekilde cinlerle bağlantısı olacaktır. Mehdi hem cinlerin hem de insanların Mehdisidir. Müslüman olan cinler, Allah'a inanan cinler, İslam'ın dünya hakimiyetinde inananlara yardımcı olacaklar.
Because the Bible teaches that the Antichrist will rule for a period of 7 years,